You've heard it said 1,000 times. What goes around comes around. It slips into conversations like an invisible threat, a cosmic warning. Do wrong, and the universe will strike back. Do good, and you'll be rewarded. Simple, predictable, comfortable. But what if that is not the truth? What if everything you've been told about karma is just a shadow of something far greater? What if karma is not a whip in the hands of fate, but a compass, quietly pointing the way home? In the modern world, karma has been tamed into a slogan, a meme, a punchline. It has been made into the universe's revenge, a celestial payback system. And in that shrinking, it has lost its true majesty. Helena Petrovna Blavatsky did not speak of karma as punishment. She spoke of it as the unbroken law that sustains the very fabric of existence, a law that does not hate, does not love, does not choose, but simply is. Like the rhythm of the tides or the pull of gravity, karma is not here to hurt you, it is here to teach you. And if this is true, then every joy, every loss, every moment of silence in your life is not a sentence passed by some invisible judge, but a thread in a tapestry you have been weaving for lifetimes. You may think this sounds comforting or terrifying, because if karma is not a punishment, then there is no escape from it. Not through prayer, not through pleading, not through running away. But if karma is a path, your path, then every step you take can lead you closer to freedom. This is the law that Blavatsky spent her life trying to uncover, a truth buried under centuries of superstition and distortion, a truth that does not condemn, but awakens. Tonight, we walk into that law, not to fear it, not to bargain with it, but to understand how it shapes the hidden architecture of our lives, and how, once seen clearly, it can become the most faithful ally you will ever have. So let's ask again, what if karma is not about punishment at all? What if it's the key to your freedom? The word karma did not arrive in the West with quiet dignity. It came through ports and printing presses, through sailors' tales and missionary reports, through the thin translations of ancient Sanskrit into languages that could not hold its weight. By the time it reached our modern ears, it had already been bent, simplified, and emptied of much of its soul. In the popular mind, karma became a kind of cosmic boomerang. Throw out cruelty, and cruelty will return to you. Scatter kindness, and kindness will come back in equal measure. It is neat, it is satisfying, and it is utterly incomplete. Think of the ways you've seen it, in the quick punchline of a late-night comedian, in the closing moral of a television drama, in the whispered comfort at a funeral. Don't worry, they'll get what's coming to them. Karma, in this form, has been reduced to the universe's revenge. A universal eye for an eye, a scoreboard in the sky. But Blavatsky looked deeper. In the temples of India, in the monasteries of Tibet, in the manuscripts that rarely left the hands of adepts, she found a vision of karma so vast that the Western mind almost recoils from it. Karma, in its true form, is not an avenger. It does not carry a ledger of sins and merits waiting for the right moment to strike. It is the eternal harmonizer, the unerring law that restores balance wherever imbalance has been sown. This balance is not moral in the way we think of morality. It is not about punishment or reward. It is about the restoration of order in a universe where every thought, every action, every intention sends ripples outward, shaping the whole. The law is impersonal, but it is not indifferent. It cares not in the way a person cares, but in the way nature cares, by refusing to allow chaos to reign for long. To understand this, you must leave behind the comforting image of a cosmic judge. There is no robed figure in the clouds, stamping verdicts on the lives of mortals. Instead, imagine the ocean. Throw a stone into it, and the waves move. Throw another, and the pattern changes. No one decides which wave will reach the shore. The water simply moves in accordance with the force and direction of what has been cast into it. This is how Blavatsky spoke of karma. Every action, every word, every thought is a stone cast into the boundless ocean of being. The ocean responds, not to punish, not to reward, but to preserve its own balance. And you are both the one who casts the stone and the one who meets the returning wave. In the West, such an idea was and still is uncomfortable, because it removes the possibility of appealing to divine mercy to erase our actions. It leaves no room for the fantasy that one moment of repentance can wipe away the consequences of a lifetime. And yet, there is hope here, deeper than anything offered by the simplistic idea of good karma and bad karma. For if karma is balance, then change is always possible. If the waves that reach you today were shaped by stones you threw long ago, then the stones you cast now will shape the waves of tomorrow. The law is constant, but the pattern is ever-changing. And the moment you act with new clarity, you begin to weave a new design in the fabric of your destiny. Blavatsky warned against the dangerous misunderstanding that karma is fate. It is not a fixed sentence written in the sky. It is a living law, one you are in conversation with at every moment of your life. This means that responsibility is not a burden placed upon you. It is a power placed within you. Think of the implications. If the universe were a courtroom, you could only plead your case and wait for judgment. But if the universe is a classroom, then every mistake is a lesson, every failure a teacher, every success a demonstration of what can be built with understanding. And if this is so, then karma is not the gavel in the judge's hand. It is the chalk in the teacher's fingers, sketching the problem on the board for you to solve. In one of her more poetic moments, Blavatsky wrote that karma is the adjuster, the law which knows neither wrath nor pardon, but ever tends to restore disturbed equilibrium. It is the tendency toward harmony that exists in all things, even in you. To live in alignment with this law is not to fear it, but to recognize that your every act either deepens harmony or disrupts it. And here lies the turning point. Because once you see karma not as a stalker waiting to exact revenge, but as the quiet, relentless force that leads all things back to balance, your relationship with life itself changes. Suffering is no longer merely something to endure. It becomes a signal, a message that something in the pattern needs your attention. Joy is no longer a random blessing. It is the natural resonance of a life moving in accord with the whole. This is why Blavatsky insisted that the true student of Theosophy must study karma with both humility and courage. Humility, because you are part of a vast web of causes whose origins stretch far beyond this single lifetime. Courage, because every choice you make now sends its vibration into that web, and the pattern can shift in ways you cannot yet imagine. So, if the universe were a classroom, karma would indeed be the invisible teacher. It does not scold. It does not praise. It simply shows you the results of your own work and invites you to try again. Some lessons are quick, some take lifetimes, but every one of them is yours. And perhaps this is the greatest freedom of all, to realize that you are not at the mercy of a capricious fate, but in dialogue with a law that never sleeps, never forgets, and never abandons its purpose. It will follow you through joy and despair, through birth and death, through mistakes and triumphs until the pattern is whole. And when you see it this way, karma is not the end of the story. It is the very path upon which the story unfolds. In The Secret Doctrine, Helena Blavatsky writes, "Karma is the unerring law which adjusts effect to cause on the physical, mental, and spiritual planes of being. It is not a moral agent, rewarding or punishing. It is the law of harmony which unerringly restores disturbed equilibrium." This sentence, to the casual reader, may sound almost cold, as if she were stripping away the poetry and the comfort of divine intervention. But in truth, she was giving back to karma its vastness, its purity, and its power. Karma, in her teaching, is not a god with moods. It does not forgive because it never condemns. It does not strike in anger because it does not feel anger. It is, instead, the mathematics of the soul, the precise equation by which the universe maintains its integrity. When we speak of mathematics, we speak of truth that is unaffected by opinion. 2 and 2 will be 4, whether spoken by a sage or a child, whether whispered in prayer or shouted in rage. In the same way, the law of karma applies equally to saint and sinner, to emperor and beggar. It makes no distinction between the crowned head and the unseen laborer. The balance will be kept regardless. Picture for a moment a single act of kindness. Not a grand gesture for the cameras, but a quiet choice. Perhaps you give your last loaf of bread to someone hungrier than yourself. The moment passes. The world does not erupt in applause. You may even forget it happened. But the law does not forget. In the web of causes and effects that underlies all existence, that act has shifted something. Not as a reward in the sentimental sense, but as a precise rebalancing of forces. The hunger you relieved, the suffering you lessened. These have altered the pattern, and the ripples will move outward, touching lives you will never meet. Perhaps the one you fed will, years later, spare another from despair. Perhaps that person will comfort someone in grief, who will one day teach a child the meaning of compassion. And none of them will know that your small act was the first stone cast into the pond. The same is true for cruelty, deceit, or selfishness. Not because the universe is watching like a celestial spy, but because imbalance must find resolution. A lie told warps the thread of truth, and somewhere down the line it will demand to be straightened. An act of harm tilts the scales and the weight must be corrected, not to punish, but to make the whole steady again. This is why Blavatsky warned against thinking of karma as a ledger of sins and virtues. In her view, karma is not an accountant. It is a law of nature. It does not decide to act, it simply acts. In this sense, it is more reliable than any human judgment, for it cannot be bribed, deceived, or persuaded. Imagine a world without such a law, a world where actions could vanish without consequence, where cruelty could dissolve into nothingness, where responsibility could be evaded forever. Such a world would collapse under the weight of its own chaos. Karma is the architecture that prevents this collapse. It is the scaffolding that holds the universe upright. And yet, because it is impersonal, karma also frees you. It places the pen in your own hand, allowing you to write and rewrite the story of your life. You are not sentenced by a divine decree, you are navigating a law as ancient as the stars. A sailor cannot change the wind, but by learning its patterns he can chart a course toward any horizon he chooses. There is a passage in the Mahatma letters that echoes this truth. Karma neither punishes nor rewards. It is man who rewards or punishes himself by his own actions. And in that single line, the illusion of victimhood begins to dissolve. If there is no cosmic prosecutor, there is also no cosmic executioner. There is only the reflection of what we have set into motion, and the possibility, at every moment, to set something new into motion. This is why the idea of instant karma is such a distortion. Yes, sometimes consequences arrive swiftly. A word spoken in anger that shatters a friendship, a careless choice that leads to immediate loss. But often, the pattern unfolds over years, decades, lifetimes. We mistake the delay for absence, forgetting that the law is patient and that its reach is longer than our memory. Think again of the act of kindness, how it may echo far beyond your lifetime. The same is true for harm. Generations may pass before the scales reach perfect balance, but they will. And this is neither a threat nor a comfort. It is simply the way the worlds move. For in truth, the law of karma is the law that moves the worlds. It is in the slow arc of planets around the sun, in the rise and fall of civilizations, in the intimate story of one human heart learning to love after lifetimes of fear. It governs not just the physical cause and effect of the material realm, but the moral and spiritual consequences that ripple through the unseen dimensions of existence. And so, when we ask why something happens, why suffering strikes here and not there, why blessings arrive to some and not others, the answer is never in a single cause. The pattern is older than we are and larger than we can see. But in that immensity lies the quiet assurance that nothing is wasted, nothing is lost, and nothing is without meaning. Blavatsky's genius was to strip away the sentimental and the punitive from our idea of karma and leave us with something more enduring. The certainty that harmony will always, inevitably return. We may fight it, we may delay it, but we cannot destroy it. And so I leave you with this. There is no heavenly tribunal where your life is weighed on a scale of divine approval. There is only the mathematics of being, precise, unyielding, and incorruptible. Every cause has its effect. Every seed bears its fruit. And every one of us walks within that law, whether we know it or not. No celestial court, only the mathematics of being. Once you understand this, the question is no longer, what will karma do to me? The question becomes, what will I set into motion today? In the teachings of Helena Blavatsky, karma cannot be understood without its twin law, reincarnation. One without the other is incomplete, like trying to read a book with only a single page. If karma is the law of cause and effect, then reincarnation is the stage upon which that law unfolds. For in one short lifetime, the vast ledger of our causes could never be balanced. The threads we weave are too many, the patterns too complex. To imagine that the soul could finish its great work in a few fleeting decades is to mistake the seed for the tree. Blavatsky saw the soul not as a fragile candle flickering against the wind, but as an immortal traveler, moving through countless experiences, wearing and shedding bodies as a master craftsman wears and sheds work clothes. Each incarnation is an apprenticeship in the art of consciousness. Each lifetime carries forward the momentum of all that has come before. This is why karma cannot be the sentence of an eternal punishment. There is no cosmic prison from which you cannot escape, no fixed fate carved in unyielding stone. Instead, karma is the teacher who follows you from classroom to classroom, ensuring that the lesson is never abandoned, only completed. Imagine for a moment that your soul is writing a book. Each life is a chapter, each action a sentence, each choice a word. The law of karma is the grammar that keeps the story coherent. If one chapter introduces a question, the next must answer it. If a theme is left unresolved, the next scene must return to it. In this way, the narrative of your being moves toward a fuller, truer expression of itself. In one life, you may plant seeds of compassion, but not yet see them flower. In another, you may reap joy from kindness sown centuries ago. The continuity is invisible to the waking mind, but it is not lost to the soul. Karma preserves the logic of the story, ensuring that nothing is wasted and nothing is erased. This understanding transforms the way we see suffering. When hardship strikes, we are tempted to cry out, "Why me? What have I done to deserve this?" The truth, according to Blavatsky, may be far more mysterious. Perhaps the suffering is not punishment at all, but the final movement of an old dissonance resolving into harmony. Perhaps it is an opportunity to learn strength, compassion, or detachment in a way that no other circumstance could teach. And the same is true for joy. The blessings we receive are not arbitrary gifts nor bribes from the divine. They are the natural unfolding of causes once set in motion, sometimes in this life, sometimes in another. Both joy and pain are teachers, shaping the consciousness for the soul's next step. This is why, in the Theosophical view, life cannot be reduced to a single test with a single result. There is no final pass or fail after death. Instead, there is progression, an unbroken journey through realms and bodies, guided by the same law that spins the galaxies and turns the seasons. If we could remember all our lives, the law would appear self-evident. We would see the tapestry of choices stretching behind us like an endless road, and the future rising ahead like a mountain path. We would recognize old friends and enemies in new forms, understand why some places feel like home at first sight, why some burdens feel older than memory. But the veil of forgetfulness, what the ancients called lethe, is itself a mercy. For without it, we would be crushed beneath the weight of centuries of mistakes and grief. Karma ensures continuity. Reincarnation offers renewal. In each life, we awaken to a fresh page, yet bound to the grammar of what has been written before. This changes the nature of responsibility. We cannot say, "It was in another life, so it no longer matters." Nor can we despair, thinking, "I have failed too greatly. I can never recover." The law is patient. The journey is long. Every cycle offers a chance to rewrite the sentence, to refine the chapter. to move the story closer to its ultimate resolution. And what is that resolution? Theosophy speaks of it as liberation, not in the sense of escaping life, but in the sense of mastering it. When the soul has learned all that the classrooms of earth can teach, when the grammar of its story is perfect and complete, karma no longer binds it to return. The law still exists, but the traveler has reached the summit, and the path no longer calls. Until then, karma and reincarnation weave together the great education of the soul. Every life is an opportunity, sometimes clothed in joy, sometimes in sorrow, to shape the being we are becoming. Nothing is random, but neither is anything predetermined in the sense of being unavoidable. At every moment, we add new lines to the book. At every moment, we decide whether the next chapter will rise or fall. And so the fear of eternal punishment dissolves into something far more dignified, far more empowering. The knowledge that the universe will give us as many chances as we need. We will face our unfinished lessons, not because we are cursed, but because we are loved. Not with sentimental affection, but with the unwavering love of truth itself. The great cycles turn, lives begin and end, empires rise and crumble, and still the law holds. We may not remember the whole story, but we are always in it. And if we live with that awareness, that each thought, each word, each act will one day return, not to hurt or reward us, but to complete what was begun, then we will live differently. Blavatsky wrote that the soul is the eternal pilgrim, and karma is its guide. One without the other is lost. Together they ensure that the journey is not a random wandering, but a purposeful ascent. Each life, a page, each page, a lesson. And karma, the grammar that makes the story whole. By now, a pattern is beginning to emerge. But before we can truly see karma as it is, we must first dismantle the illusions that surround it, illusions that have turned a profound spiritual law into a shallow superstition. There are 4 myths that must fall. Myth 1. Karma is punishment. This is perhaps the most common distortion. The idea that there is a cosmic judge sitting on a high throne, keeping score, waiting for the right moment to strike you down for your mistakes. It is the shadow of old religious thinking, the notion of sin and retribution, dressed in Eastern clothing. But in Blavatsky's view, karma is not personal. It does not hate, it does not forgive, it does not choose. It simply reflects. If you plant a seed of thorns, you will one day walk through a field of thorns. If you plant a seed of wheat, you will one day harvest bread. This is not vengeance, it is balance. It is not an executioner's blade, but the weight of the scales returning to equilibrium. Seen in this way, karma is not your enemy. It is the great harmonizer, ensuring that every cause finds its effect, not to crush you, but to complete the circle you began. Myth 2. Karma is immediate. In movies, books, and social media jokes, karma is portrayed as lightning fast. The rude driver is pulled over by the police 5 minutes later. The dishonest merchant is caught in the act. We smile, we call it instant karma, and we feel the thrill of justice served. But the law does not work according to our impatience. Karma is not a vending machine where you insert an action and instantly receive the matching consequence. It works on a scale far beyond the limits of a single human lifetime. Some causes may bear fruit in hours or days. Others may take years, decades, or centuries to unfold, passing silently from one incarnation to the next. The soul may set something in motion in one life and meet its echo in another, without the waking mind ever knowing the connection. This is why injustice can appear to reign in the short term. It is also why we must be careful not to assume we understand the hidden roots of someone else's experience. We see only a fragment of the great arc. The law is patient enough to wait for the full circle to close. Myth 3. Karma is fixed destiny. If karma were a rigid fate carved in stone, then life would be nothing more than a prison sentence, predetermined, hopeless, mechanical. But this is not how the law operates. Karma is momentum, not immobility. It shapes the field of possibilities, but it does not dictate your every choice. It is like a river whose current has been shaped by all the streams that have flowed into it. You may not control the origin of that current, but you can still steer the boat. Blavatsky insisted that the human will is a force in the cosmos. We cannot erase the causes already set in motion, but we can create new ones, stronger, purer, more luminous, that change the course of our path. We can choose how we respond to the conditions we inherit. We can meet a challenge with resentment and deepen the lesson, or with understanding and dissolve its weight. In this sense, karma is the arena in which free will plays its greatest role. We are not puppets dangling from invisible strings. We are sculptors working with the stone given to us, and the chisel is always in our hands. Myth 4. We can escape karma. This idea comes in two forms. The first is the hope of some loophole, a ritual, a prayer, a divine pardon that will wipe the slate clean without the work of transformation. The second is the fantasy of simply avoiding the law by running from the situations and people through which it is trying to teach us. Both are illusions. Karma cannot be escaped because it is not a prison. It is the very road we walk. To escape, it would be to escape the architecture of life itself. You might as well try to outrun gravity. And yet, here lies the paradox. The purpose of karma is to lead us beyond the need for karma. When we have learned the lessons our causes have set before us, when every imbalance has been brought to harmony, the law no longer binds us to return. In that sense, liberation is not breaking the law but fulfilling it completely. This is why no true spiritual teaching promises to erase karma like a debt paid by another's sacrifice. Instead, they offer the tools to understand it, to cooperate with it, to turn it from an unconscious force into a conscious ally. We do not escape it, we master it. When these four myths are stripped away, what remains is something far more dignified, far more hopeful than the childish caricatures we are given. Karma is not a punishment. It is a teacher. It is not immediate. It works on the vast timetable of the soul. It is not fixed destiny. It leaves room for the will to carve new paths. And it cannot be escaped, but it can be completed. This is the vision Blavatsky tried to restore to the modern world. The view of karma as a law both merciless and merciful, because it is beyond both. Merciless in that it allows nothing to be lost, no cause to be erased. Merciful in that it offers as many opportunities as necessary to set things right. In this light, we begin to see our lives differently, not as a series of random rewards and punishments from an unseen judge, but as a continuous dialogue between the soul and the universe. Every event becomes a line in that conversation. Every choice becomes a question asked or an answer given. And here, in the quiet recognition of this truth, something changes. The fear of karma dissolves. The desire to escape it fades. In its place grows a deep curiosity. What am I being shown here? What cause is this effect returning to me? What seed am I planting now, and in what field will it one day grow? With these questions, the myths fall away, and we find ourselves no longer living under karma, but walking with it. We have seen what karma is not. We have torn away the myths, cleared the fog. Now we stand before a question that burns brighter than all the others. If karma is law, where is our freedom? If every effect follows a cause, are we not simply passengers on a track laid long ago? Theosophy answers with a paradox. Karma does not erase free will, it reveals it. It is not the hand that moves the chess piece. It is the board on which you choose your move. Every thought, every intention, every act is a seed. The soil is universal, shared by all beings. But what you plant in it, that is your choice, your responsibility, your power. You may inherit a field shaped by the seeds of yesterday, but the seeds of today are yours alone to scatter. You may not be able to change the fact that a storm has passed through, flattening half the crop. But you can decide what you plant in the soil it leaves behind. Wheat or thorns, compassion or cruelty, clarity or confusion. Blavatsky saw the human will as a cosmic force, not a mere illusion, not a flicker of defiance against the inevitable, but the sculptor's chisel working with the stone given to him. The law will not choose your strokes. It will not stop your hand. It will simply ensure that every strike leaves its mark. This is where karma becomes intimate. It is not some abstract machinery operating in the void. It is the mirror in which your own choices return to meet you. It listens to your every whisper and responds with perfect precision, not to trap you, but to awaken you. So the question is not, how can I avoid karma? The question is, what kind of karma am I creating right now? When you speak a word in anger, that vibration enters the weave of the world. When you extend a hand in kindness, that too becomes part of the tapestry. Neither vanishes. Both will return, not as a reward or a punishment, but as the natural echo of your own song. This is why the great teachers speak of living deliberately, of holding your thoughts like lanterns, guiding them instead of letting them wander like shadows. Because in every moment the seeds are falling from your hands into the soil of time. The truth is both sobering and liberating. You are standing in the harvest of yesterday's planting, and at the same time, you are planting tomorrow's harvest. This is not fatalism. It is the deepest form of empowerment. You cannot change what has already been sown, but you can transform the entire direction of your future by choosing differently now. Imagine for a moment the weight of this realization in the hands of a conscious soul. Every interaction becomes an act of creation. Every thought becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of eternity. Life is no longer something happening to you, but something unfolding through you. This is the call of karma and free will together, to awaken to your authorship, to stop moving like a sleepwalker through the corridors of chance, and begin walking with purpose toward the horizon you have chosen. Because the soil will always receive your seeds, it will always answer you. And whether you plant in ignorance or with awareness, the harvest will come. So ask yourself, not in fear, but in curiosity, what seeds am I planting in the thoughts I allow to linger? What seeds am I planting in the words I choose to speak? What seeds am I planting in the silent intentions I carry in my heart? If you understand this, you will see that the greatest freedom is not freedom from the law, but freedom within it. You will see that karma is not a chain that binds your hands, but the soil in which you may grow anything your soul dares to imagine. And if you live with this awareness, you will stop asking whether you can escape the law, and start asking how fully, how beautifully, how truthfully you can work with it. For in the end, karma will meet you exactly where you stand, not as a judge, not as an executioner, but as the silent gardener, ready to return the harvest you have sown. Until now, we have spoken of karma as it flows through the life of a single soul, your choices, your harvest, your path. But there is a larger river, a current that carries not only individuals, but entire peoples, civilizations, even humanity itself. Blavatsky called this the karma of nations. Just as a person is shaped by the sum of their actions, so too is a country, a culture, a species. Our collective deeds, the wars we wage, the treaties we sign, the discoveries we share, the prejudices we cling to, all weave into a tapestry of causes that will one day demand their effects. Think of the rise and fall of empires. No kingdom collapses in a single night, just as no great civilization is born in a single dawn. Beneath the banners and battles are centuries of choices, policies, ambitions, injustices, acts of courage and acts of cruelty, each seed falling into the soil of history. Eventually, the harvest comes. Sometimes it arrives as prosperity and cultural flowering. Sometimes it arrives as famine, division, and decline. In Theosophy, this is not divine punishment. It is simply the same universal law that shapes an individual's life, working on a grander scale. A war is not the wrath of a deity. It is the inevitable meeting of forces set in motion by collective thought and action, often long before the first shot is fired. A period of peace and innovation is not a cosmic reward. It is the blossoming of seeds planted by generations who valued harmony, education, and the common good. And here lies the unsettling truth. We are all participants in this collective karma, whether we choose to see it or not. Every vote cast, every silence kept in the face of injustice, every small act of compassion toward strangers, all of these ripple outward, combining with the choices of millions of others to create the destiny of a nation, and ultimately, of the world. Blavatsky warned that humanity's future is not guaranteed. It is neither doomed nor saved by fate, but shaped by the aggregate of our will and actions. If greed, exploitation, and ignorance dominate the collective mind, the result will reflect that. If wisdom, cooperation, and justice prevail, the pattern will shift. This is why spiritual responsibility is never purely personal. To awaken is not only to improve your own life, but to recognize your place in the larger body of humanity. To understand that your consciousness is a thread in a vast and living fabric. When enough threads are lifted toward the light, the entire pattern changes. The karma of nations explains why history repeats its lessons when they go unlearned. A society that refuses to confront its past will inevitably meet its shadow again, perhaps in different clothing, but bearing the same essence. Cycles of oppression, cycles of conflict, cycles of economic rise and collapse. These are not accidents. They are the mathematics of cause and effect, written across centuries. And yet, there is hope in this law. Because if the causes are collective, the solutions can be too. Every movement toward truth and justice, no matter how small, plants a seed in the soil of the future. Every act of moral courage, even if unnoticed in the moment, becomes part of the momentum that shapes what is to come. So the question becomes, what kind of world are we as a people planting today? What are the seeds hidden in our collective choices? In our industries, our governments, our schools, our art, our treatment of the earth itself? For as surely as an individual meets the echo of their own actions, humanity will meet the echo of its own. The storm or the sunlight of tomorrow will be nothing more than the unfolding of what we choose now. And if this is true, then responsibility is not a burden but a calling. To act with the knowledge that your hand, your voice, your choice, helps steer the great ship of humanity. Perhaps only by seeing this clearly can we begin to break the cycles that have bound our history and step together into a future shaped not by accident, but by conscious will. We began tonight with a question. What if karma is not punishment but the key to freedom? Now perhaps you see why. Karma is not your enemy. It is the invisible ally that refuses to let you remain asleep. It is the quiet hand that turns your face toward lessons you might otherwise ignore. It is the law that trusts you so deeply. It allows you to reap exactly what you sow, so that you may truly understand the seeds you have been planting. When pain arrives, it is not a curse. When joy arrives, it is not a bribe. Both are messengers, both are mirrors. Both whisper the same truth. This is what you have woven, and this is how you may weave anew. Theosophy teaches that karma is neither cruel nor sentimental. It does not cling to the past nor punish without end. It is simply the great harmonizer, ensuring that every note in the symphony of existence finds its proper place. You are not at the mercy of this law, you are its co-creator. And with every choice, you write the next measure of your life's music. There is a freedom in this that no outer power can take from you. For if karma answers only to truth, then every moment becomes an opportunity to plant better causes, to shape a future more aligned with your highest self. You cannot erase the past, but you can plant the seeds of its transformation. You cannot escape the law, but you can dance with it. And in that dance, you can move toward liberation. So hear this, not as a warning, but as an invitation. Karma is not punishing you, it is guiding you. And every choice you make is a brushstroke on the canvas of your soul's freedom. If you want a brighter picture, pick brighter colors. If you want a deeper truth, choose actions that reflect it. If you wish for a gentler world, let your hands become its architects. In this way, the law that once seemed unyielding becomes your most faithful teacher. It will not flatter you, it will not deceive you, but it will, always, keep you on the path toward the wholeness you seek, no matter how many lifetimes it takes. So when the next trial comes, and it will, do not ask, why me? Ask instead, what is this here to teach me? And when the next blessing comes, do not cling to it in fear of its passing. Ask instead, how may I use this well? This is the life of conscious living. This is how we become not victims of karma, but its willing students, and perhaps, in time, its masters. Because here is the greatest secret. The more you align your thoughts, words, and actions with truth and compassion, the less karma must correct you. Instead, it will carry you forward, like a current carrying a ship towards safe shores. Every act of kindness and every moment of patience, every choice to rise above anger or greed. These do not merely earn you good karma. They transform the very ground you walk on. They change the pattern of cause and effect itself, until the path ahead becomes less of a struggle and more of a pilgrimage. And in that way, karma ceases to be a chain and becomes a set of wings. So tonight, as we close, I will leave you with this. Your life is not random. Your suffering is not meaningless. Your joy is not accidental. Every breath you take is part of a law older than the stars. And yet you hold the pen that writes its next verse. Karma is not here to hold you down. It is here to lift you up, if you choose to rise. And that choice is yours now. But there is a deeper mystery still. Because once you begin to walk in harmony with this law, something remarkable happens. You discover how karma itself can be transformed into active compassion, not only for yourself, but for all beings. And that is the story we will explore next time.